What it is,
Hey,
everybody? What's up? What's up? Here you
there he
are
is.
with the two loudest mouths themselves. Big Dog George Frisch. My name is not relevant right now. Just kidding. Here I am, Courtney, man. We're gonna try that new intro today. I like that. That was cool. That was not planned for me to jump in like that. I was actually getting something to drink. So what's up, Big Dog? What we got on the schedule?
Not much, brother. So tonight we're going to start off with the AFC East. We're going to then bounce over to the NFC East. So continue our recap of the draft. Uh, First night we did the North. Last night we did the South with Big Dave joining up. And tonight we're going to tackle the East. We started talking about it a little bit last night, but we're going to dive into it a little bit deeper tonight before we cut this thing off tonight. I want to talk about today. They officially announced that as of the 2021 season, NCAA is going to allow players to seek out endorsements. I still got
Get
to look
paid,
at
yeah.
like the full description of what they're looking at. The NCAA said they're going to try to control it, but like we joked around about with some of the guys already in the group, it took multiple years for them to break down um, Reggie Bush getting paid. So good luck trying to track it in 2.5, 3.5 years. So first off, let's hit it off. We're going to start off with the AFC East, and you're going to start it out with your favorite team in the draft, or I guess 1A to your favorite draft team, with the Miami Dolphins, and they made a huge splash, pun intended. Uh, so go ahead and take off with the Dolphins, brother.
So listen, man. Shout out to Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins. What they're able to do, man, I'm telling you, we talked about it a little bit yesterday with Dave, but what they were able to do yesterday and what they're able to do with that draft, first of all, let's get this straight. They picked up the best player in the draft at number 5. Tua was on the board at number 5, and they went and got him. Tua's going to be great for those guys. Then they addressed every need, not only in the offseason, but in the draft. They got Jackson, an offensive tackle. They got Eberhard, bro, I can't pronounce dude's name from Auburn.
Hey,
I will.
listen, I feel bad for everybody, especially Roger Goodell. They did not give anybody the phonetic alphabet to pronounce some of these dudes' names
Yeah,
that were
Aber,
either from Africa or the islands.
Aberhard,
It,
I call Cuz Alphabet. Then they got Hunter, offensive guard. They got Davis, a D tackle. Jones, a safety. Kinley, a offensive guard. Then they got Strawbridge, who's a DN, which I'm telling you, Strawbridge from North Carolina is so undervalued because he was not in the right system. He was in a system where they had him playing like he was playing like D tackle majority of it. But when you seen him go to the outside and play DN and get be able to go against offensive tackles, he was just better than they were. And we're gonna talk about this where there was another guy, Uche from Michigan for the Patriots, who was another guy
yeah,
that was not used properly, didn't get the right amount of time. So shout out to them. And then when you look at what they did during the draft, they already have Jordan Howard. But then on top of that, they added Matt Breida from San Fran, which was a part of the draft where they traded for a 5th round, I think, to San Fran. Man, their draft is just shout out to Miami guys. Like you have to absolutely love what they're doing on that end. Like it's gonna be really exciting to see what they do. Um, and then they also picked up Byron Jones this offseason. They picked up uh, Lawson from Buffalo, Cal Van Noy from New England, Carras, the center from New England. So I mean, they got a lot of talent on that end, man. It's going to be interesting to see how they put it together.
yeah. Flores and them did a really good job, not only in the off season, but then also their draft moves. Adding Tua to an already decent quarterback room, even though Rosen hasn't gotten much of a chance in the NFL. Fitzmagic has been bouncing around team to team, and he's been doing really good things. Um, I feel like he is considered a journeyman to a lot of people, which kind of sucks because I think he's had the ability to do a lot more um, for really struggling teams, especially Tampa and Miami in the last couple of years. And now with what Miami's building, and kind of what we talked about with Big Dave last night, it gives Tampa that luxury, or Miami, excuse me, that luxury of being able to sit Tua maybe a couple of weeks. Going into the fall, however the season works out with COVID, hopefully it jumps off at normal. But being able to let Tua sit for a minute and let Fitzmagic do his thing is great for that group. Also, still having Rosen there is nice, but I don't see he's going to be actually playing. Just like Big Dave said, chances are real good Rosen's going to get moved before the fall and the start of the season, which we'll see how that works. Because I feel like most of the teams answered their questions with quarterback, but then again, the Patriots right now, they didn't get anybody in the draft. They're still the highest look at for Cam, which you're going to eventually talk about. But again, they're still on the market for, again, that replacement for Brady, even though that they have a quarterback in the wings ready to start up. And speaking of quarterbacks ready to start up, I think switching over to my team, and again, another team of yours that you really like with Josh Allen, I think they did and had a pretty decent draft. They had a better offseason, in my opinion, than the actual draft. But hey, you can't blame them for what they were able to do. Josh Rosen added another quarterback into the quarterback room with Josh Fromm, or Jake Fromm, excuse me. I was really hoping that we'd be able to figure a way to get him into Pittsburgh, but it just didn't work that way. They took AJ Espinoza out of Iowa, big boy D end, which was really nice. They added another weapon in Zach Moss out of Utah that I really liked. Gabriel Davis, which was kind of a sleeper wide receiver, he had some skill coming out of UCF, and then Jake Fromm, like I talked about. But obviously, their biggest pickup off of this off season was Mario Addison, and then Stephon Diggs, which was a huge pickup. And we kind of talked about it yesterday. The nicest part about picking up Stephon Diggs is that absolutely opens up the offense for them Bills, and the Bills Mafia is going to have a good time with that this upcoming season.
That receiver from UCF is a beat. Like he's gonna be very good for them guys, man. I think they're gonna be able to put some pieces together. But we kind of talked about it yesterday because I went on a limb to say that Miami was gonna win the division, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, you know what I'm saying? Hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because obviously New England's still there, and I think New England had a draft where it was like Pittsburgh's. It was a very solid. They got exactly what they needed. And I'm gonna say this, and we're not here at Loudmouth. I want to get this perfectly clear. We are not here to push a political agenda. Okay, so the kicker that they picked up in the 5th or 6th round, Ross Weiser, whatever his name is, honestly, like I didn't like how it was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't know what it was. Like, but also at the same time, only reason people knew about it was because he was tattooed. So I just felt like, who cares, right? Like, I'm a big, I like, I just didn't agree with how it's like, oh, now I'm going to get the tattoo removed. Bro, how long have you known about it? You just found out that the
Yeah,
tattoo, like you just found
he
out what the
claims
tattoo
that he
represented?
just recognized what it meant. Again, I guess you'd have to look at where. I didn't look into it because
Me neither. But
I could give a flying fuck because we're worried about so much other shit right now other than politics and football, and I really, again, it is what it is.
yeah,
But depending on where he was from, but again, also on the same forearm, on the other side was Liberty or Die. So again, he might be from a political background, or
right.
again, he's looking at the 3%er from the basic of it and not what it has been
Yeah.
since Obama came in.
I just felt like,
So
and
again,
I, and that's what I mean. Like I just felt like it was something that like, okay, question mark. You know what I mean? But as far as their draft, they got Kyle Deucer, which was a guy who he played what 1AA or really wasn't talked about. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how he fits in. He looks good on film. So I mean, if there's anybody who can make it possible, I believe Bill Belichick will make it happen. They got Uche from Michigan, who watching Michigan, being a Michigan fan, he should have been on the field way more than what he was. But Michigan has so many backers and so much talent that people get lost. But I think he should have been one of those guys that played a lot. Um, Anthony Jennings from Bama is going to be a monster. Um, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But I really like their pick. They got Ossie, the tight end from UCLA. They got another tight end named King. They got a guard, and then they finish it up with a tackle. And then their off season, I mean, they picked up Marcus Lee. They got Cody Kessler, and they got Brian Hoyer. So I think their draft was definitely just like, all right, we know what we need. And I honestly think they have faith that Stidham is going to be able to win football games for them. And I don't see why not. He still has Josh Allen. He has a young receiver core who they got attacked all last year for the lack of talent. So it's going to be interesting to see what those guys are going to be able to do, man. So I'm giving New England a B plus A minus. It was solid.
yeah, again, they talked about it. I think the last round, and they said that again, once again, it wasn't another wowing draft for the Patriots. Patriots very rarely have a wowing draft, but they added pieces. Also, the pieces they added are rather versatile. Both the tight ends that they picked up are more wide receiver skilled tight ends. So that's going to be obviously a big, interesting thing. And the other defensive guys that they picked up um, are able to do a lot of things. So we'll see how that works out. It's not, again, an overwhelming draft for them, but like we're looking at in even the first two nights that we looked at, a lot of people were just filling needs more than making any kind of obviously groundbreaking um, changes in their decisions and stuff like that. Um, Again, talking about not that groundbreaking, the Jets are along the same lines. They picked up Michael Beckman out of Louisville in the first round out of the 11th pick. He had some issues coming out of the draft, but again, he's a really nice talent. He's also a very big boy in 6'7" and 360, and he's one of the guys that ran a sub 540 for the offensive linemen, especially out of the tackles, which is really very impressive. They picked up another real nice weapon with the departure um, of what was their quarterback's name or wide receiver's name?
Oh, Roberts? No, Anderson.
Anderson. With the leaving of Anderson, they also picked up Perryman off the free agency market. but they also added Denzel Mims out of Baylor. Mims was a huge weapons for the Bears this fall. He was really fun to watch. They also added LaMichael Piron out of Florida late. They also added Austin Davis out of Cal, which is a real nice safety. But I mean, that was about it. I mean, they answered some nice questions up beginning. So I'll give them a higher B. Out of Mel Kiper's board, they said he still had some linebacker needs that he thought that he needed to see out of the Jets. But
well, you got to
uh,
think. I don't know about that because both the Jets' problem, both of their linebackers were hurt all year. Both of them.
oh, outside of the Eagles, the Jets might have been the most injured defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
And again, C.J. Mosley unfortunately was in and out the lineup the entire time. I think it was Jordan Jenkins was the other one.
No, Avery Williamson.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah, he tore his ACL in what, a preseason game?
Something like that. They were dinged bad. But they just picked up Jamal Adams' fifth-year option, which, again, they would have been dumb not to. And they also have Quentin Williamson, he's another young cat out of Bama, which he's just going to continue to get better. Them adding Becton to the offensive line is just going to help Le'Veon Bell. Also having, again, Le'Veon Bell is another one of those feature running backs that usually doesn't split very much time. But adding LaMichael Pirine, which he's not to the same caliber as Bell, but he did a lot of nice things for the Gators this past fall. They also still have a very decent wide receiving core as long as they can stay healthy. That's, again, obviously the thing that we always look at with most of the wide receiving cores right now is just the idea of being able to stay healthy. And that's their biggest issue. Draft wise, again, same thing. I think I said it. I'll give them a high B, just because again they added some nice pieces, but didn't make any giant splashes.
So now we go to the NFC least. I mean NFC worst. I mean
Well,
NFC East. I mean,
how are you going to grade out the entire AFC East in their drafting?
I think they get a B because all around the board they were pretty solid. Like,
Yeah,
you got two A's in Buffalo and Miami, and then you got two B's in New England and the Jets. But now we go to the NFC. I mean, the NFC least, worst, last, worst, absolutely trash, garbage, juice. I mean, hell to the Redskins. That's the team I'm going to talk about. Hey, man. So I've been on record to say it that I feel like Chase Young will be overrated. But on the opposite side, he has if out of all the teams he could have went to, he went to the team that fits him best. Reason being, he has two of the Bama boys up front with Payne and Allen. He has Ryan Kerrigan, and he has the rookie they got last year, where I couldn't remember his name. But then you look at the draft. So adding Chase Young is going to be a valuable piece if he's able to give. I thought against good tackles who was able to guard him one-on-one, like especially the last 3 games of the year, he didn't do anything. Like he had hurries, like if you want to call him that. But I thought it was really blah his last 3 games. Like, it's easy to dominate Rutgers. It's easy to dominate like it's easy to dominate somewhere where you're not going to have to worry. But can you go against Michigan's right tackle? Can you go against Wisconsin's right tackle? Can you go against Clemson's right tackle? And the answer was no. Can you go against LSU's offensive tackle one-on-one? The answer was no. But they got Gibson, another running back. They added some depth in their offensive line with Charles. They got Gandy Golden, who's a receiver. They got Ishmael, who is very highly recruited to me. That guy's a bruiser from San Diego State. I think he's going to be a very good piece because they want to be able to run a football, and I think he's going to be good. And then to put a little bit of pressure on, not Cordell Jones, Dwayne Haskins, they got Kyle Allen, who I really liked. I thought he came in last year and had a really good 4-game stretch, and then he kind of simmered down. But, I mean, what rookie doesn't, you know? And then Ronald Darby, who I think is garbage from Philly. Like, I don't think he was any good. I think he was very overrated. And then they got Peyton Barber from Tampa Bay. So, overall, I'll give them a solid C for their draft. And then the reason why I'll give them a C plus is because they got Khalid Hudson. Shout out to my boy Khalid, man. Represent the maize and blue. Represent McKeesport. Put it on the map. Think about this. He goes from McKeesport, which is like one of the worst parts of Pittsburgh, to go to Washington, which is like one of the worst parts of the world. I just think it's funny. Come on, Khalid, man. Help him out like you did McKeesport. Hell to the Redskins.
Yeah, man. Again, it's real nice seeing how much the Whippeal has really been involved in this last draft. Again, people start talking about states as a whole, and again, us being from Western Pennsylvania, we're looking at just a small collection of a larger state, and it's great seeing how many Whippeal boys were able to go into the draft this year and make a splash, make a name for themselves, everything like that. Unfortunately, this team didn't pick up, I believe, any of the Western PA boys, but they are a part of the PA. So Philly, they started off the draft pretty well. Again, a under the radar, I'll say, wide receiver out of TCU with Jalen Reagor. Again, as much as I hate it, and I'm not trying to coin it because it does make me kind of gag a little bit, but Boomer McFarland saying Casey has the Legion of Zoom. Right now, looking at the Eagles depth chart in the wide receiver room, they definitely have a bunch of guys that could be fighting for the title of Legion of Zoom.
That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go like this. Because they about to be running all day long, baby.
Again, you hope so.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
Again, another one of those teams that were, again, decimated with injuries last year, especially at the wide receiver spot. Hopefully adding Ragland. Again, he's one of those cats that once you get the ball in his hands, he's unstoppable. The one disappointing part for my Steelers, they picking up Jalen Hurts to back up Wentz. They've already started talking about using him in a secondary quarterback spot, but then also putting him in the backfield, kind of like the Ravens did with RG3 last year.
So I'm going to say something controversial, and I'm tired of it. Why do people feel like because he's a black quarterback with athleticism, he has to go to a fucking quarterback? He can throw the ball.
Just because he went to a team that has $1 million quarterback, they're not going to
$1 million quarterback who's made of glass. That pisses me off.
Hurts is made of glass
because
too.
Wentz ain't going to make it to the season. That's why they brought him in, and nobody wants to talk about it. Carson Wentz is made of glass. Me and him got the same doctors. We go there so damn much. Seriously, it's like every time there's a black quarterback who's athletic, they're like, well, maybe they could put him as a skill position. No! He's a
not anymore. That was like a couple of years ago.
No, it was
not
last
anymore.
Year. Lamar Jackson. What do you mean a couple years
Lamar
ago?
Jackson also came out of college with a shitty ass passing percentage. So
you mean when he won the Heisman?
Yeah, as a runner.
No,
he ran most of the time.
4,000 yards
against the AACC.
It doesn't matter. Now it matters.
Well, Trevor Lawrence also threw for 6. So I mean, Sunshine doesn't look very good throwing the ball either.
But it doesn't matter. Even if you go to Washington where you throw the ball 60 times a game and you put up 6,000 yards, it doesn't matter. It's like, bro.
Yeah, but that kid, Gordon also wasn't up for the Heisman.
No, but I'm just saying, who?
Who? Wazoo's quarterback was not
No,
up for
but
the
that's not the
Heisman.
point. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I feel like you have to literally sit there and be like, oh yeah, this guy, because he's athletic, we're gonna try him at running back. No, he's a quarterback. And if you look at him, Jalen Hurts, man, listen, he is one of the I would take him by his character of how he handles himself on and off the field. When he got benched in a championship game, he didn't complain. He didn't put his head down. He became the ultimate teammate. He stayed that entire year, didn't complain. And then you look at it when he came back in against Georgia and won the game for them. But then this guy has got better as a passer every year. And then when you add the fact that then he goes to Oklahoma and he learned and he developed more as a passer, now
Also,
it's like
whenever
people
he
like,
went to
oh,
Oklahoma, he talked shit about Bama and how they handled everything. So again,
he didn't
I
really talk
understand,
shit.
but he talked enough where again he created his own revenge tour. Which again, there was no revenge, dude. You're not in the same conference. You decided to go to another conference where you didn't have to see your team. And again, revenge tour I thought was a laugh because it was a media and Jalen Hurts created thing.
But so you're going to say it wasn't a success revenge tour because he was a finalist of the Heisman. Let's get that straight.
But he didn't have any. What revenge did he
The
have?
fact that it like literally when you think about it,
All
he's
he
saying
said was, "I'm a good quarterback." No shit, dude. You led Bama up until you got hurt. You didn't do well, and then your freshman understudy came in and took your job. That it's not like Trevor Lawrence where he came in, did okay, and Dabo's like, you know what? Kenny Bryant isn't the guy. So we're going to try to lean towards this kid that's a true freshman. Like there was obviously a set groundwork of Tua being good. There was no revenge other than saying, "Yeah, I can still do it." That's cool.
how isn't that revenge? Isn't that what it is?
That's
The
not
point of
revenge.
saying
Who did he show revenge against? He showed that I can still do it. Nobody said you fucking suck. They just benched your
when
ass
you so listen, he got benched and he won
because
fucking.
somebody was better.
He only lost 2 fucking games. What do
Somebody else
you
came
mean?
in and did it better.
You
If
can look
I
at his
have a
two.
younger guy that can do it just as good, if not better, I'm going with the younger guy.
You sound like
And
a
that was
billion. You
Tua.
sound like a billionaire of a Fortune 500 company trying to get a new wife, not somebody who's talking
That's
about
fine.
quarterbacks.
Again, Tua did it better.
I
Tua
would
was
agree,
younger.
but still, the revenge tour is saying
You're arguing just to be a dumbass. Again, Tua was younger. Tua could do it. Let the kid do it. Jalen, bye. And like that again, you can switch one too. Again, Saban made the decision which didn't have any real ill effect on any of the program. He took a starting quarterback that got hurt and put in a younger kid that won the game. Jalen struggled almost that entire game until Tua came in with another set of freshmen and took over that game.
which I would agree, which I'm not talking about. But also, when Tua was struggling and Tua got hurt, who came in and say fucking Tua? Jalen Hurts. You're not going to say
For one game,
it does. Tua did it for one fucking game. What are you
but
saying?
Tua had an entire resume. Like Tua was already
Jalen Hurts
set
won the
in.
national championship the year before. What are you talking
And
about?
Saban went with the younger cat.
That's not what
It's
we're
just
talking about,
the
though.
only
This
reason
man won a
Jalen
national
didn't go
championship
anywhere
game. He
originally,
won a national title. He won one.
and so did Tua when he came in and took
Okay,
over for
so
Jalen.
what you're saying is yes, Jalen Hurts got him there the whole year. Tua came in for one half and got him there. The very next year, Tua gets hurt. Who saves their career? Who saves them so that they were able to come in? And first of all, I'm fired up. What did he just say? Wentz missed less games in his career than Big Ben missed all of last year. Oh, really? So Carson Wentz, are we really going to talk about it? Last year, he played all year. The year before that, he had a back injury. I'm pretty sure they sat him down halfway through the season last year. True or false, George? What about the year before that? Week 12, tears his ACL. The only reason why he didn't miss the entire year was because it was towards the end of the year. And do you forget his team won a Super Bowl? Okay. We ain't going to talk about that, man. Y'all got me fired. I'm sorry. I don't even remember. Oh, you were talking about the Eagles. Yeah,
Yeah, we were talking about that shitty ass quarterback that's going to be sitting the bench and playing running back.
Now he's a shitty quarterback.
Eagles also added some of the Auburn offensive line with Driscoll and Jesus, this is another guy, Wango, Trey Wingahu. But it was part of their offensive line, which again for the Eagles, again they struggled pretty hard last year. But Jalen Samuels, which is another PA boy, obviously from the East Side. Zach Ertz is still there. Lane Johnson is still the best right tackle in the league, if not the best tackle in the league. Brandon Brooks is a dog. Their offensive line is amazing. It's just the idea that they can't figure it out on defense, which, again, it doesn't help when 95% of your secondary is in the cold tub trying to figure things out. But, again, they have still one of the better offensive lines, and they just got better with adding Vernon Hargraves, which, again, it's going to be sad missing him, but he's going to fit in just well. They also picked up Malik Jackson, which is nice. So the Eagles, again, they did what they needed to. They also picked up or got Goodwin from the 49ers for 4 pennies and a bag of popcorn. That trade was also disgusting from the 49ers. On top of the Trent Williams trade, which, again, that shit's just funny.
Bills Mafia, baby. You're a little late, man. We already done dissected them guys, man. Shout out. And me and Wally talked about it, and we talked about it yesterday. I said, like, he kind of came at us because he's like, didn't that same quarterback beat y'all in Heinz Field in December? Here comes the duck excuses. And I'm like, no. Like, the game was like 10-3. It wasn't like Josh Allen blew the roof off of us. Like, it was like that defense and our defense is just like throwing haymakers. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
I think so. What I thought was interesting was this team. When we talked about it yesterday, I was like, who cares what happened with their draft? But the Giants actually I would give them a solid draft. Reason being, I think the first thing they did was they reached. They grabbed Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, who me and you thought about it. I thought there was a couple better than him. But, okay, because I feel like, why are you grabbing somebody at number 3 to be a project? You know, like, who he may start, he may not start. Why draft him that high then? Especially when Isaiah Simmons is there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was like, whoa. And then they got Xavier McKinney, who was left on the board in the second round, which I thought was ridiculous. Kyle Duger opinions, getting drafted second round by Pats from Ryan. We'll talk about that. But so then they got Parrott, the offensive tackle. They got 3 more pieces on defense. They got Coughlin. They got Brown runs it. And then they got Lemieux. I love when you see like Lemieux because they got a guard. And then when you look at what they did in the offseason, they got Bradbury from Carolina. They got Blake Martinez from Green Bay, which I think is going to help their defense a lot. They cut Ogletree to get him. They also picked up Farkwell from Green Bay also. So 2 Green Bay boys now repping the blue. They kept Leonard Williams. They signed Dion Lewis, and they got Colt McCoy and picked up Fleming for some security. So I think they did a very good job. I would give them a B for what they were able to do. Even though they picked the Patriots ball boy as their head coach, which nobody understood. I thought that was weird. Like, man, it's like,
yeah, they're still questioning that. We'll see how that turns out. Again, I feel like Bill Belichick's tree trumps a lot of stuff in the NFL, but we'll see how that works out. I mean, right now, aside from like Vrabel, I think he might be the only like Bill disciple that is actually having, I'll say, real success.
Brian
So we'll
Flores.
see how that works out. Flores so far, but again, he only got the job last year, so
Yeah.
we'll see. He's still young, as it were, as a head coach. But again, he's already, he's already doing some significant things for that squad.
So
So
would you say do you consider Bill O'Brien a success?
no,
I do. Because I feel like
even though he's had some playoff runs, I think with this year, with how he's handled the team, handled um, the, I'll say, dismantlement, or again, the tried dismantlement of uh, Hopkins' character and stuff like that. I feel like this offseason alone has really screwed Bill Belichick more than anything.
Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Brien. Yeah.
Oh, Belichick screwed, but not because of that.
Well, yeah. That's because Kraft has his hands on his pants. That's Doug's point.
How about them
But
Cowboys?
them Cowboys, I guarantee Skip Bayless was riding around the house in his Spurs and Cowboy hat after this. But again, I thought they actually had a decent draft. They added some nice pieces. Obviously, the big splash for them was CeeDee Lamb. I was surprised CeeDee fell that far, down to 17. And I think he was like the third wide receiver taken at that point.
Yep.
So I was surprised he fell that far. It's going to be really nice because, again, Dak on his fifth-year option this year is going to have a bunch of weapons around him. So he has zero excuse to be 8-8 this year, and 8-8 in one of the shittiest conferences that we've seen
The
the
shittiest
last couple of
conference.
years.
The shittiest conference.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty bad last year. I mean, we almost had an opportunity. There's almost a chance where we had a sub 500 team that was going to win the NFC East. So again, they picked up him, CD. They also picked up Trevor Diggs out of Bama, which is a real nice corner. Neville Gilmore out of Oklahoma, which is a nice D tackle, and a couple other pieces. I lost it. That's what it was. Their one big, I guess, two off-season additions would be Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe. Dontari Poe, not as big of a pickup, but it is a nice interior grouping for them. Poe hasn't really been the same since he left Atlanta. I forget where he went after that. I think he went to Carolina. And Gerald McCoy is still a interior presence, but obviously their big people down there is Tyron Crawford and DeMarcus Lawrence, which those guys are crazy inside. And then me and you both are huge fans of their linebacking core with Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch, I meant. Them also picking up Clinton Dix this offseason might sure up the back end of that defense, which is going to be nice. But again, outside of CD, that was like, Trayvon Diggs Trayvon Diggs out of Bama is going to be a nice addition as well for them. But again, nothing too surprising for them. I thought they honestly had a bigger offseason than a draft, really.
Yeah.
So again, I'll give them a high B. So I think as of right now, still the NFC East might be one of the lower end
Yeah.
of the conferences right now for our gradings.
And then let's go back to, so what do you think about Kyle Duggar? Let's get from Ryan. I think, like I said, he's bigger, he's physical, and with New England, they're going to be able to have him play a hybrid position where he'll fit in because they got Anthony, they got like guys who are going to be able to help him, and I don't think he'll be like he might play the same role as like McCourty, like he has a McCourty brother, he has the McCourty twins, and Patrick Chung who beat a drug case, which I don't know how.
Probably like Kraft beat his beat case like that. My man's getting waxed on, waxed off, and just still walking around the
A little
playoffs
bit of
just like
sucky
nothing
sucky for
happened.
$5.
Shit. Again, only being a Patriot is a New England Patriot is how you go from getting caught up in rub and tug and not seeing shit after saying that I was there, I was getting rubbed off, and then everybody's like, oh, okay.
That's worse than Bill Clinton being like, he was like, well,
I I, I
what is
needed some
sex?
head
Oral isn't sex.
so I could blow off some steam. My dude, you're a mess. I still can't believe he actually came out and said I was getting head from my assistants because I needed to blow off some steam.
But then also
You're a
say that
wild
head
motherfucker.
wasn't sex because what is sex? Man, he's a beast. He's a beast.
That guy's a fucking nutcase.
Oh man, that's funny.
So I'm
So
trying to look up the actual wording for the other thing that we were going to talk about, which again, it just came down today that the NCAA finally um, voted on and then I guess added some more, um, I guess, rolling on personal likenesses. So what I'm excited about is the idea that schools are still not paying players, but players are able to go out and seek endorsements and make money off their likenesses. Whether it be, again, I didn't see what they're able to do. But again, my biggest argument with this whole thing was um, the one UCF kicker that got ruled ineligible for having his own YouTube page. Um, Donald De La Haye, again, he was ruled ineligible for having a YouTube page, making money because it was his face. And the original start of it was, again, a day in the life of a NCAA player. So, again, being able for these guys to have that ability, I'm a huge fan of. I don't know. Again, I hope it doesn't get out of control. Obviously, it has the ability to, but we'll see how that happens.
yeah, so for me, Mel, um, I think Jake Fromm is underrated. Um, I think he went to the right team because Josh Allen is there. So I think with Jake Fromm, it doesn't have to be a emergency like, okay, you need to play, you need to come in and win. Because Jake Fromm is mentally tough. I think you've seen that in just everything he went through at Georgia. I think it showed how mentally tough he was. So I think he's underrated. George, I don't know about you, but and then so after you talk about Jake Fromm, I'll get back to the NCAA thing. But I wanted to answer questions first.
Yeah. So again, I like Jake Fromm. Again, he did it again. So I'll put it this way. So he was very good at Georgia. Unfortunately, he could never get over that hump to win a SEC championship. He's had his times in the playoff and having that ability. I wouldn't say he's overrated um, because, again, I think with some further coaching and professional coaching, he'll do his thing. Um, Times he's going to be in a locker room where he doesn't have to start anytime soon. Um, so he's going to be hopefully a guy that like maybe we'll forget about, but like 3-4 years down the road, he's going to either be taking over a franchise or moving around to take over a franchise. He was again between him and Eason. I really like both of them to be able to take over a to step in to take a potential future role as a future black and gold play caller. So we'll see how again he works out where he is now.
And you also got to remember, they didn't let him go. He decided to go. Like there was
Yeah,
nothing they
you
could
know what I
do.
mean. Again, Justin Fields did what he was able to do, but let's look at there's a lot of talent in the Big Ten and the Big 12, but or the SEC, excuse me. But look at the overall schedule that Justin Fields played versus the teams that Jake Fromm played, and I'm sorry, but it's not comparable. 4 times out of the year that, I mean, Justin Fields has only been there 1 year, but out of that time, he played 4 non-Power 5 Ohio schools, which I'd have to go back and look. I don't know how many actually made a bowl game, let alone actually put any competition in those group of 5 conferences. The other thing is, unfortunately, outside of, I'll say, the top 4 teams in the Big Ten East, is there any real competition in either conference in the Big Ten?
No.
So Northwestern's a big dog.
You said, is there any
Maryland.
competition? I said no.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, outside of like the
Damn,
top,
little
like
hoe, you
I'll
all
say,
aggressive.
I heard you wrong. Outside of the
Because
top
and
like
I think
three
we
or
talked
four
about it.
teams in
Because
each conference.
if you go, all right, let's stack them up. Just Big Ten total. You go Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, question mark, question mark. You know what I mean? Like maybe
No,
you
and
put Michigan
again,
State.
same in the West. Again,
No,
this year it
but
was.
I'm talking about the Big Ten total. Like I'm like
Oh
you
yeah,
go. So you go like Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Nebraska,
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin,
No, well, Wisconsin and Minnesota were really good this year.
but they're not
But
going to win anything. It's okay to be really
no,
good. Fucking, you
well,
can say Arkansas.
Wisconsin
You can say
has
Missouri
been
was really
always.
good 1 year. Who gives a damn? Like what I'm saying is, year in and year out, when you got Bama, Auburn, LSU, that can be any fucking conference in the entire country.
Oh,
And then
agreed.
you're talking about Florida, if they're like, okay. You know what I mean? Like Mississippi State, okay. Like you're not going to want to battle these dogs. Like what the NCAA need to do is 1 year go conference versus conference and let it get real. Let the big dogs of the conference, let the top 20 battle each other. Because you would see exactly what's going on. Ohio State, great as they are, they're not going to be able to compete with the big dogs. They they would get ate up in the SEC. Absolutely ate up.
Yeah, and again, there's. I'm not going to say that Justin Fields isn't worthy of his accolades or anything like that. Again, my only pause is just the overall competition that he faced this year over what he could have played. And again, the hard part is he left again. He left Georgia. Georgia didn't like trade him. He left Georgia because it was basically written in pen that Jake Fromm was going to play out his career at Georgia. So it was his decision to leave Georgia and not battle for the quarterback position or what have you. But again, he decided to move on. Again, whether it be a coaching decision, him not knowing the playbook, what have you, he couldn't beat Jake Fromm out for when both of those guys were in the position of a quarterback battle. And again, I was able to look it up. So again, the teams they played outside of the Big Ten was Florida Atlantic, Cincinnati, Miami of Ohio, and that would be it. So two of the three or four other non-Power 5 Ohio schools. But they also played Indiana. They played Nebraska, which this year, for whatever reason, they hyped up Nebraska and Ohio State like it was going to be something.
I think
They
Nebraska's
also
close. Nebraska's close, but they're not there.
Nebraska's close with Scott Frost. Again, he just stepped in like a year or two ago, so again they are just a step out. I'm pretty sure Northwestern wasn't very good this year. I know Maryland hasn't been good. They had like their bits and pieces here and there over the last couple of years. Then they played Rutgers. But again, whenever outside of again your boys Michigan, I guess that he fared roughly about the same against everybody. But again, he had a shit day against Penn State. Penn State looked real bad. And then again, however you want to look at it, once he played the Clemson Tigers, outside of a handful of plays, Justin Fields himself didn't do anything to win or lose that game and to put them over the Tigers, and eventually they lost. So again, it is what it is. Is Ben Roethlisberger? I'm assuming he means washed up or not. Again, this year's going to be a real odd year for him. Again, he's gone through some big injuries. He's had injuries where more of his injury report was longer than his stat sheet. Again, coming off of that bad of an elbow injury, they say he shouldn't have much deterioration in his play. But if you watch Big Ben throw, he is a arm thrower versus, again, we joked with Dak last year with using his hips a lot more. I can't say for certain if Ben's going to be back to where he is. And I don't know if we talked about it whenever we talked about the Steelers, but my biggest concern going into the Steelers or into the season as a Steeler fan is Big Ben saying he's 100%, the team thinking he's 100%, and Randy Fichtner thinking he's 100%, and calling plays for 100% ready to go Ben Roethlisberger, and him producing at 70%, and them forcing Ben to stay in, or again, Ben forcing them to keep him in, and them shitting away a season just so Ben can feel good about himself instead of benching Ben and looking to whoever else wins the backup and possibly third quarterback position.
I would be on the lookout for Paxton Lynch. That dude came out. I'm telling you, like he isn't a bad quarterback. He's been slept on and been kind of pushed away to the side. I think he'll win a backup competition.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the biggest thing. Again, as much as I like Duck, again, he's not an NFL ready quarterback. The big battle is always going to be Mason Rudolph versus Paxton Lynch. JT Barrett, in my opinion, isn't ready for a backup role. He's another guy that's in the Steelers quarterback room. Um, I don't think he's there yet. I mean, shit, he's on like fifth in the depth chart. But Paxton versus Mason this fall, if there's a camp come this fall, that's
They
going to
got
be a
him to be
huge.
Lamar Jackson in the fucking on the practice team. That's why he's there.
Yeah, pretty. I mean, unfortunately.
I can almost guarantee it. That's,
Which again, the sad part, and actually the one thing I'm very surprised. Well, I guess I'm not that surprised because he did kind of suffer some issues towards the end. But again, I had Cardell Jones out of the DC Defenders. I thought somebody was going to bring him in. I don't blame anybody since he started having ball security troubles towards the end of the season. But again, he might be another guy that we might see somebody put on the camp roster just as another camp body and another camp arm. But we'll see. So let's get into this NCAA stuff, and then we can answer some more questions that's coming into the feed. But what's your thoughts on the NCAA, again, allowing players to use their likeness, but then also seek out endorsements?
so we talked about it for years. The NCAA has just became like bully, and it's been that way. And I feel like people don't understand the NCAA. Black people, like they have to go. Like if you want to make it to the NFL, you got to go to if you want to make it to the major league, you have to play a sport in college. And people's like, oh well, they get rewarded a scholarship, they don't choose to use it. People don't understand what it's like to grow up of nothing and have to provide, and you're not going to go to college. So only the reason why you're going to college in the first place is because your God gifted ability. And for them to be able to make so much money off of guys like Leonard Fournette, Johnny Manziel, Lamar Jackson, like guys who have made so much money for their league, and then you get it, then you have to make a decision of, do I really want to stay and play and love the game of football, or do I want to make money? Tyler Boyd is a perfect example. He forgot about his senior year because he had a child and had to provide for his child, so he left a year early. Imagine if he would have stayed one more year at Pitt.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, yeah, again, he was, again, fortunate enough that he was able to leave Pitt and actually turn it into a decent career because, again, he's turned out to be a big name for the Bengals now. But again, that's the biggest thing. I think we talked about this before, and I think it was RG3. I'd have to look it up again, but I'm almost 100% sure it was RG3. And again, it seems that I love it that a lot of people reach out to Peyton Manning because he seems like a good dude. Again, whenever I was playing with Jerry Lorenzen, and again, we would always talk about the pros, and he would talk about both the Manning brothers as very good mentors. But then they would sit down and talk to you like a real, again, saying a real human, but again, people don't understand that sometimes when you get into these NFL locker rooms, and whether, again, you're a big name or not, these guys are moving at a different pace. So it's not like they're able to sit down and just talk a lot. And he said they'd be able to just sit down and bullshit. So again, what I was getting at is RG3 reached out to Peyton that year that RG3 left out after his Heisman year and said, hey, bro, what should I do? Should I leave and make money for my family, or should I stay in and keep building my craft? Well, again, he left. Baylor and went into the pros, was, again, a number 1 draft pick, and got
number
that
two.
money. Either way, whatever. He was top 5. They still make dough. And again, Peyton said, I can't tell you what to do. He said, I'm fortunate enough that my family has money. Dad was in the NFL, made the investments. Our family has money. I can't tell you what to do. He goes, but you do what you need to do for you and your family, which, again, RG3 went out, got to the Redskins. Again, he got a decent contract. Unfortunately, his play, he got dinged up. But now he's in a good way. And, again, he's with the Redskins. And, again, it goes to
the Ravens.
Yeah, I said Skins. He went to the Ravens. And, again, this just opens it up to, again, and I'll put it as blunt as this. People are naive as fuck if you don't think Justin Fields is getting broke off. If you don't think the Trevor Lawrences are getting broke off. The Sam Elliott's down at Texas isn't getting broke off somewhere in some kind of channel. These guys are getting paid. Like, the main players are getting paid. This just evens it out for everybody on the depth chart, but then across the campus. And somebody said earlier today, well, the girl playing field hockey or the guy playing tennis isn't as marketable. Unfortunately, those people aren't bringing any money to the campus anyways. And again, that's the biggest issue where we're having with COVID right now, is they're saying a lot of athletic departments are freaking out because of the amount of money that D1 football programs bring into the school to keep everybody on the campus still functioning. So
They
again,
said most D1 colleges account for 80% of the athletic programs around universities.
Yeah. So again, if I'm a field hockey player, or unless you're at a school where, like, unless you're at Cornell, where your lacrosse program might be bringing in a large portion of money because they're always in the NCAA tournament for lacrosse, I'd be freaking out if I was a field hockey player for Cornell or for, like, any other school. Like, I can only imagine Duke's women field hockey doesn't bring any money into that athletic department. It's their basketball and football team, mainly their basketball team. So again, now, Cindy on the field hockey team, whether it's making a shit ton of money or just making any kind of money, she's now able to go and make some money by doing a YouTube. What, you're laughing about names? But like seriously, like, now that, like, people actually have a chance to make some money. Obviously, you're not going to make the same money as Justin Fields, but even like a third string lineman is going to be able to get maybe some money. And again, they did a study, and I'd have to look up the article again. I put it in the group. And again, with everything going on, I'll have to re-find it and post it again. But a 5-star athlete coming into a football or basketball program accounts for $650,000 a year per 5-star athlete. That's unreal. And again, yes, you're getting an education, but most of these dudes are going to these football and basketball programs to go to the NFL to make millions, while NCAA and these college campuses are making millions on them.
Billions
in these first couple of these years. So again, you're looking at a 3-year program. Your $120,000 scholarship doesn't mean shit to me unless I graduate, and I graduate with a major that actually is going to turn into something down the road. Again, some college athletes are smart.
So, and here's where people should understand this. LSU, the year Leonard Fournette was there, they had an auction and sold his jersey for $101,000.
Yeah.
$100K. Do you know how much of that money he got?
Zero. Well,
Zero.
that's just what wasn't that the same year? No, Johnny Manziel was older than him. But the same thing happened with Johnny Manziel with Texas A&M.
Yeah.
They were selling Texas A&M Johnny Manziel T-shirts in the bookstore until his parents said, "Hold on, timeout. What the fuck are you people doing?" And that's whenever they copyrighted Johnny Football and everything like that because they were pissed that the college bookstores were trying to make money off of him.
What did he say? Tannehill's contract? I don't know. I'm not going. I don't think it should. Redskins have drafted a QB? No.
No, running back.
Huh?
It says Redskins have drafted a running back.
Oh, running back.
No, because right now they have Adrian Peterson.
They did.
And Geis.
They did.
It was like a late round running back.
No, it was a second round running back, Gibson.
Oh, was it?
And they signed Peyton Barber.
Wasn't Gibson a wide receiver out of Kentucky?
Well, see, that's the thing. Gibson is that X factor.
He's an athlete.
He's an athlete. So he's listed as a running back, but he can play receiver.
He was a quarterback.
Yeah.
That dude was wild. Again, we have a question about Dwayne Haskins. Again, he has too small of a resume right now in the NFL for us to say, at least for me to say anything. He was really nice at Ohio State. But again, my biggest argument all the time from any quarterback that comes out of Ohio State is they usually don't pan out for shit.
Here's my thing. So the thing about Dwayne Haskins, he got told that he wasn't going to play all year, and so he didn't take it serious. And then he got thrown into the fire, and all hell broke loose. So
yeah, but for you to again, I don't know.
That's just what it is. Like that's just the truth of it. Like he didn't take.
No, I understand.
He wasn't studying. He wasn't training to be ready for a game. So that's just how it is, cuz.
Yeah, I mean, again, you should still always prepare, but again, it is what it is. Yeah, well, especially for him. But that's about it for our stuff, unless anybody else has any other questions. Again, still go on our page, share our stuff. Jump in on that raffle. We're really excited about the T-shirts. They're going to kind of look like what Courtney has on, but with a lighter gray. Go onto the page, check out the raffle. All the details are on there. But then again, if you're not able to win the raffle, if you're not able to win the raffle, we're going to start taking orders for the T-shirts either Friday night, Saturday, and they're going to start turning around pretty quick, hopefully. Miss Michelle's going to be taking care of us, getting these shirts right. Anything else you got, my man?
Nah, hey, Wade. You got a lot of interesting questions, man. We might let me know what you're doing tomorrow. We might try to bring you in. You got a lot of stuff you feel like you got to bring to the loudmouth world, man. So I'm gonna hit you up.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later.
Ship overseas. All right, guy. Wait. Oh, do we ship overseas? No, I don't think so.
I don't think Miss Michelle is offering that right now.
Nah.
We might have to look into it to get you a shirt, but
like we might have to. I know for sure they're not gonna do overseas shipping.
No, well, not Miss Michelle, but us personally, we might look into it.
Anything from
As
my
long
Marine brother. He's over there doing great
as long
things.
as as long as you don't send us anything from China, we good. I'm not trying to get that Rona off of a T-shirt.
All right, guy. I'm gonna call you.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right.